everybody, and welcome along to this edition of SportsView on LearnMedia.tv. And press the red button to subscribe to our channel and share it with your friends and give us a like. And good evening, Derwynne.
Hey, Pat, how are you?
Good evening, Anna Moore.
Hi, Pat.
Good evening, Joe Waters.
Evening, Pat.
Good evening, Chris Price, and welcome you all, lads.
Good evening.
We're going to, I suppose, begin with soccer. We normally begin with soccer anyway. And I don't know when we get on to any other subjects, so I won't say any what else we hope to talk about before the program is over, you know. Anyway, and our usual email, info@learnmedia.tv. Obviously, in the Birmingham local papers in Birmingham, what's his name, or the manager of Aston Villa, he's gone over my head now.
Steven Gerrard.
Gerrard got a lot of stick for the performance of his team in the first game, but they made amends in Aston Villa, Arsenal, Man City, Brentford, Notts Forest. Great to see Notts Forest winning, lads. I think that ground deserves to be in the Premiership, and the team. They all win, of course. And Man United, well, they lost to Brentford. Liverpool are playing later on. We're on here on Monday night, Monday the 15th of August. So Liverpool are kicking off. They've just kicked off against Crystal Palace in Anfield. So we'll see how they'll get on in that game. But I suppose we'll start off with the Man United Brentford game. And really, I don't know, Derwynne, did you see that match? I think Derwynne. You can go out and come in again, Der. Okay.
Derwynne is a bit like the Man United defence on Saturday. He's just frozen.
I did. I watched that. I watched
Missing
the
in
whole
action.
thing.
Okay, Anna is okay. I'll count us in that again and ask the question. 5, 4, 3, 2. Derwynne, I just asked you there. Did you see the Man United match?
I did, sadly. I wish I'd found something else to do, but I didn't.
No, we've all said that the utter lack of ambition in that big club in appointing Maguire as captain signalled the demise of the club, in my opinion, Derwynne. You know.
I think there's bigger problems than that. I think there's a bit of it's some kind of cash cow for the Glaziers. I think there's just massive issues in there. I mean, they're 5 years away from being anywhere threatening to win the Premier League, aren't they? In reality, I mean, they're looking at 30-something-year-old strikers to come in. I mean, surely now you maybe throw some kids out there. They did it in '92, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
And it worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Anna, did you see any of the match?
No, we had youth championships, but the United fans above there were trying to watch it on, and they were very disappointed. But you're saying about the glazier and the money in that, but do they not realise that if they continue to play the way they are, that the merchandise and that won't be bought, and people will fall away from it because people will get sick of watching it.
That's true. And Joe, did you get a chance to see the highlights?
I think football fans.
Huh?
There's a delay on Derwynne's. There's a delay on Derwynne's.
Oh yeah, Joe, did you see any of the match yourself?
Yeah, I did. I watched it. I mean, let's be honest here. We've talked about this, and it feels like you're, flogging a dead horse with United. They're so far away from being any way competitive at the top level like they were before Ferguson, and it's just, it's going to take a huge overhaul of the whole club in terms of not just in terms of playing personnel, but in terms of background personnel. They do not have anybody in there that is making any sound decisions on player personnel, on acquisition of players, on scouting of players. What are Manchester United type players? They're they're so far behind everybody else that I really don't know how anybody expects them to be successful. And they're talking now. Ten Hag might be gone after the next game against Liverpool and what have you. That is so ludicrous. At some point, you have to stop blaming managers, and you've got to start asking the hard questions of players. And these players are not Manchester United players. They just are not. The young guy from Ajax got brutally abused yesterday in the first half, that they had to bring him off. I mean, the boy's coming from Dutch soccer. He is not used to forwards like Ivan Toney and the other guys that Brentford have got that are going to lay into you and are going to challenge you for every ball. And Brentford got their tactics spot on. They hit high balls at him. They put him under constant pressure. And it was a baptism of fire for the young guy. He'll get better. He'll get better. But the thing that really bothers me about this, for the fourth goal, who are the two guys that are caught out for the fourth goal? Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw, the two most experienced defenders that they've got. The two of them get absolutely crucified for the second goal, or for the fourth goal. One long ball from the middle of the 18-yard box to turn it into a goal in the middle of your own defensive end at the other end, with one pass, two passes, and in the back of the net. That is, at that level, that is ridiculous. Luke Shaw is done. The guy cannot run. Harry Maguire cannot run. You saw Christian Eriksen having a go at Harry Maguire right after that goal.
You did.
And he's going, all we're asking you to do is, whatever expletive he used, is to defend. You cannot defend one long ball. That's all you're there for.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, and then you have Ronaldo with all his gesticulating up front and what have you, and doing nothing, to help the cause when he should be a catalyst for
But
goals.
Joe,
Yes, Mike.
you got Fernandes doing exactly the same thing. If Fernandes could play as good as he moans at referees all the time. I mean, Fernandes to me, I don't know what's gone on there. He's gone completely off the boil within the last year or so.
I totally agree with you. He has become a luxury player that is not earning his keep. He's another one. It was apparent after, once he's taking penalties and all that kind of stuff, and he's first year in there, he's flying. But after that, you start watching him the second year, and he's not doing as much as he was previous year. And now, I mean, he is just like the rest of them. I'll tell you what, Derwynne, he is not a guy that I'd want to look over my shoulder and have behind me in a relegation battle. I would not want that guy with me in that game. I would not.
To be fair, Joe, there's no player in that United team that you'd look at like that, is there? I'm a die-hard United fan. I sit there and just go, well, how can it go so wrong?
It goes so wrong just because of recruitment.
We mentioned Chris over just about Chris.
Yeah, is it scouting? Is it purchasing?
Oh, we mentioned Chris.
I mean, if
we don't want to be picking on individual players, but there's two senior internationals, as Joe alluded to there, Chris, Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw. We don't want to be singling out the same people every week. But if we can see that those two players would not get into the top 7, 8 or 10 Premiership teams in England, what hope have you as a Manchester United club, as a club, to make any progress?
But why can't we single out players? They're professional players.
Yeah, we do.
International.
Yeah,
They're super rich players who are not doing their job. Why can't we single these people out and call them out? That's what we're here for. If we're not going to single people out, we might as well go and watch tenders. That's as simple as that. You made the point about say Maguire and all those, right? the problem is that now I only saw the highlights because that's about all I could have stomached on Saturday night, to be honest with you, right? Yeah. I honestly thought watching even just the highlights that they were not fit. They didn't. Now Joe could probably, counteract that, but they did not look fit. They didn't run, and when they did, they weren't running fast enough. His point about Luke Shaw is valid. Now maybe that's because, there's when he had that leg injury, he probably lost a yard of pace. But I think I think now what's going to happen is this, and we looked at the fixture schedule before we came in here.
We did.
Up until the international break, Man United have 8 matches. And there's possibly one out of those 8 matches that you could say that United will win, and that's home to Leeds. They have got a tough schedule. And here's the problem, right? They could easily have maybe 3 points out of 24 after 8 games. Now that's relegation fodder. Okay? Simple as that. And I think the manager now has given these guys 2 matches and a pre-season, right?
Yeah.
And he has now got, if he has any credibility, right? And if he really is the man in charge, which I suspect he isn't, right? Then he has got to make about 3 or 4 decisions before the Liverpool match to restore whatever credibility he has left. First of all, he has got to say to Ronaldo, there's your P45, off you go. Yeah. The second thing he's going to do is going to say to De Gea, one more bad performance and you're gone in the next transfer window, right? He's going to have to strip the captaincy of Harry Maguire at least, if not drop him, right? And he has got to basically say to the likes of Marcus Rashford, Luke Shaw, and a couple of others, you're now playing for your future. Because if you don't cut the mustard by the time the World Cup gone, you're out this door in January. And if he hasn't got the cojones to do that, then the man should basically do the honourable thing and walk away now and stop basically taking money for a job that he's paid to manage, but is obviously not in charge. That's my opinion. The point that I would say is this, is that the whole Arnautovic guy, the Austrian, who's 34 years of age and they're going to take from Bologna, right? And now there's even talk of him going, of them going for Jamie Vardy, who's 35 and coming towards the end of his career. I think this is not just a Man United.
Today they're even looking at Aubameyang.
Yeah, this is not just a Man United problem. This is an England national squad problem, because basically, you've got the likes of the English captain who is basically so off form, so unfit that in 3 months' time he's going to a World Cup as captain. Are you kidding me? Well, it's not just Dan Hag that's got to make a tough decision. It's Gareth Southgate's going to have to make a tough decision whether he should play him. That's for them. That's for them to sort out.
They have, we'll say, haven't they got, we'll say, youngsters coming up. Liverpool are bringing in some, and they have over the last few years brought up their youngsters and put them on the team at different times.
And I tell you why they're doing it. And I tell you why they're doing it, Anna. And there's a big, big difference between the likes of Man United and Liverpool over it. And it's as simple as this, right? Some of the Liverpool players that are young on basically what they used to call YTS contracts, youth training scheme contracts, they are very poorly paid. You look at the salaries that some of the United youngsters are getting, they're buying Mercs in their first season. They're buying Ferraris in their first season. They're getting way too much money and they haven't proved it. And Joe would probably tell you this, right? That when you were playing for soccer, the first thing you did when you were an apprentice, you'd be cleaning the senior players' boots.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore, I'd say, right? No. And I say it doesn't happen anymore. So these guys are walking, some of them are being signed at the age of 14, 15, and their parents are giving a shed load of money to say, you're coming to us and we'll look after you. Forget about school, we'll sort that. And they got so much money that they don't even bother with school.
No,
right? And that's the problem. Liverpool are paying their young players accordingly, and Man United are making their young players millionaires 6 times over. And the problem, Anna, is this: there's no hunger in these guys.
Right, say that, Chris. Say that. But are they good enough to come up? I mean, you're saying they're bringing in these older players, as we all know they're on their way out. Why not bring the kids up and give them a chance?
Because there's no hunger in them. There's no hunger in them.
But the problem is,
guys,
you're
how
talking about.
How does Liverpool?
Hang on, there's 2 of you talking over
How
here.
does Liverpool recruit Nunes?
Sorry,
ahead,
what's that,
Darwin?
No, go on, Joe. Go on, Joe.
So
Joe, you go.
There's two things that are happening here, right? And one, I think we're not giving Ten Hag enough credit to realize what's going on at United. He cancelled their day off yesterday and had them in yesterday morning running. They ran 8.2 miles apparently, or similar figures, less than Brentford ran in the game.
Joe, he's getting slaughtered on social media for that.
But no, Chris, he has to do something. That is his only way.
Cancelling their day off is not making him a manager.
What's that?
Cancelling their day. A lot of managers can't. A lot of managers are
doing, Chris. What he is doing, he has to make a statement somewhere. And the first statement that he's made is that. Now the next measure of it is what's coming next.
They're laughing at him. They're laughing at him, Joe. They're laughing at him for that.
No. You know what? They laughed at Ferguson for a little while as well, but they soon found out when they were all shipped out who was in charge.
That's my point. He has to start shipping them out.
The case here.
Yeah,
he is in charge.
But the running should have been done in pre-season, not in this after 2 matches.
All we can hope for is that first of all, that he is actually in charge. And
that's my point.
I hope
that's what I was just asked to say, Pat.
Yeah.
Lads, would what you said, Chris, about dropping him and taking the captaincy and all of that, I think most of us would agree with that. But will he be allowed? I mean, look, they've had 4 managers in less than 2 years, right? Are they not allowed to do these things? They're called managers only in name? Is this it? Because they don't seem to have any control over them.
Okay, you've asked the question and I'll give you the answer as far as I know it, right? The point that you have at this is that Ten Hag, okay, I take Joe's point about cancelling a day off. However, that is a decision that doesn't even rank or go anything near the board. That's okay. You do that. That's fine. Whatever. That's fine. But the point you're making a point about, where do they sit or whatever. United could have got Conte 18 months ago, but Conte wouldn't be allowed near Old Trafford because he's too outspoken. He's his own man. He would basically say, if you don't do this, I'm off. He's done it before, right? Ten Hag could be seen as a yes man. Okay, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But to be honest with you, he's now the manager on the big bucks. He has to go out there and make the decisions and make them fast. Because at the moment, what seems to me, and a lot of people watching it from the outside, is that the tail is wagging the dog here. And that's basically Ronaldo and Maguire. They're basically, there seems to be the ones in charge. And the standards have dropped because those two fellas, right, are basically, it seems to me that the two of them are basically undroppable. And when you have a situation where guys are not under threat of their places, then standards will drop. There's no competition. There's no competition for places.
That's very true.
But this is the whole point I was going to make on top of that, right? United and Liverpool have got two totally different philosophies on what they're doing right now. United, you look at all the young players United have got, they've bought those players.
Yeah.
And they bought them for several millions.
Yeah.
So that's why they can't pay them what Liverpool can pay the young guys coming through their academy. United don't have that happening. They've got the likes of Dallas and all those guys. They've paid money for those guys. So if you're buying a guy for 5 or 6 million, or
you have to pay him accordingly,
4 million, you've got to pay him accordingly. So and they're proven not to be good enough for the job at the moment. Now, not everything works out the way it worked out the last time for United when you get 6 or 7 young guys from your youth cup winning team that come in and they're going absolutely gangbusters in the Premier League. That does not happen. The next part of it is that Ten Hag is being compared to the likes of Klopp and to the likes of Guardiola. He's not a Premiership manager. Well, all those guys, their previous people, were Premiership managers. And these guys have all worked in different places, and it took them a little bit of time to get to grips with what they wanted to do. Okay. They were never handed a job like Ten Hag has been handed here.
No.
This is an absolute cluster of a job to be walking into.
Joe, it was said on Match of the Day on Saturday night, and I think it was Alan Shearer that said it, right? He says the previous manager, Ralph Ragnick, came in to basically oversee and look at where United are going wrong. And he gave him a dossier where he basically told the club that they need to get rid of at least 10 players in the summer transfer window. And they haven't done that. And they basically fired him for basically telling them what needed to be done. So they don't want people to tell them what to do. What they want is a yes man. Now, that could easily be the case here. The question was asked earlier, what do United stand for now? United are basically an ATM for the Glazer family over in Florida. They're just taking money out of their club. The club still owes 600 million, which was exactly the same amount of money that was bought by them 15 years ago. So they basically piled the debt onto the club and took the money out when it's making profit. And Pat's asked the question earlier on, and I'll give him a straight answer to it, right? About the fans won't go anymore. The fans are tourists. There's about 70% of the fans that go to Old Trafford are tourists on a jolly looking at the stadium. The 75,000. If the only club that I saw that did something constructively was Arsenal about 2 or 3 years ago when they had enough of Arsene Wenger. They just stopped going. And then the board were looking at it and going, why is there so many empty seats? That's what's going to happen to United, empty seats. But the problem is none of them are going to get rid of their season ticket because the queue for the season ticket is so long, right? That if I was a season ticket holder in my United, the divider says, here, I'm throwing it in the bin, there's going to be about 10,000 people willing to take my place.
SportsView is the program on your media.tv. Don't forget that.
There's a bigger problem happening for United right now, and it hasn't reared its head, and it's going to get uglier. The shirt sponsor that they've got right now is not renewing after 2 years. They've already made that decision right now. That's where it's going to hurt United. Once the corporate dollars and pounds stop coming in and shirt sales in Asia go down, then they're going to find that it's a whole different club that they're dealing with.
Guys, there's a whole list of things that are wrong. Their recruitment's wrong. Now, is that just because they're crap? They're not playing in Europe. They're never looking. They're looking like a mid-table team. So how does Liverpool get Nunes? You know, we get Sancho, or whatever his name is, because he's supposed to be the best thing since sliced bread over in Germany. He's come in. He doesn't look that good, does he? That Jadon Sanchez.
How much opportunity has he been given?
Well, just use the last 2 games. He doesn't even look like he's in the game.
But how many games did he play last season when he went over from Dortmund?
I don't know the facts.
I guarantee you he played no more than 5 or 6 games over whatever the course of the season. The guy wasn't given a chance, right? And I mean, it's fair. I mean, how old is he? What is he? 19, right?
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be seen as the future of a team that has a 37-year-old and an English captain on it, and this guy is supposed to be the leader? Are you kidding me? Like, the guy is only 19. The senior guys should be trying over and saying, do you know what, mate, come on, we'll drag you up with us and we'll perform. But what's happening is it's sink or swim there. They are a team of individuals. That's exactly what they are. And it's all about self-preservation with a few of them. They don't care about us. They don't care. I'm sick to the talking about them. I'd rather go and watch a cricket match over in Shankill Road in Belfast than watch Man United these days, because they're an embarrassment there.
And on a lighter note,
you know, that youngster, as you said, he's only 19. He's going to get demoralised, lads, if it continues. I mean, going to United, he probably thought was a big step up, which it was for him. But he's going to get demoralised. And is he going to be like other players that went there? Are they going to lose the sharpness they have because of it?
Well, Anna, I'll give you one question. At one point, Timo Werner went from Leipzig to Chelsea for 2 years. It didn't work out. He went back to Leipzig and scored last weekend. Okay? These things happen, right? Sometimes it's like you going for a job, right? Which is probably you've never done before. And then when you get the job, you're thinking, oh, Jesus, this is a bit of a step up. I'm not so sure. But you're going to try and, but the old saying is you're going to try and fake it until you make it. right? Because someone's paying you. Somebody's paying you X amount of money to do a job. You're not going to say no to it. You're going to take it. Simple as that.
I was looking across at the different results over the weekend, lads, and one of the players I like watching all the time was Romelu Lukaku. He scored, of course, for Milan. I mean, he wouldn't have been a bad buy for United if they were interested. I might know whether they were or not. I just don't know. There are players out there who will do a job for 2 or 3 seasons with you, and they're well experienced as well. But look, on a lighter note,
one player doesn't make a team. It has to. That young fella of 19 they brought in, he probably would be brilliant and very good if he had the people behind him that would bring him forward and pass him the ball and, those kinds of things.
Well, we're on here at the moment, and Liverpool and Crystal Palace are playing on Monday evening, the 15th of August, and it's 0-0 still after 25 minutes, I think, is in all. But needless to say, Liverpool are camped on one half of the pitch, according to the reports coming in. Anyway, Conte and Tuchel out there had a lovely go on the sideline. Did you see that? There's about great excitement to thing. Now, I must admit, in my opinion, it's only my opinion, it's only all our own opinions, Tottenham got 2 goals that they should never have got against Chelsea. I think Chelsea were very, very hard done by in the game. Did anyone see the game?
No.
Saw bits of it again, yeah. Saw bits of it.
I watched it.
What do you think, Joe?
To be honest, I thought Chelsea looked really good.
Yeah.
And Chelsea had some serious chances that on another day they may have put away. But everything about them, they look slick. They created well. The only thing they didn't do, was the pile on after they scored the 2 goals. I watched the one that Tuchel was going mad at, and to be honest, I thought that the Spurs player got a toe to the ball before he made contact with the Chelsea player, from what I saw there. And I think that's what gave the referee the opportunity to ignore it and say, he got the ball first. But, Koulibaly scored an absolute worldie from that volley. That was an absolutely fantastic goal that he scored. But the 2 guys having a go on the sideline,
Great
really,
stuff.
if that's my manager doing that, I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
That is embarrassing.
It is.
And you feel like turning around to them and saying, "Hey, go cop yourself on. Get a grip of yourself. Get real." But I understand it's competitive and it's a London derby and all of that, but there still has to be some class in the game, no matter what.
Before we leave soccer, we'll come back to it again. Celtic and Rangers continue their won in Scotland. Of course, they look like they're going to dominate the Premiership anyway. Joe, your club had 2 good wins in the Cup and the EFL Cup, and yesterday as well, Grimsby.
Yeah, and it looks like we're welcoming Nottingham Forest for the next round.
That's right.
To Blundell Park. So
I know that. Yeah. But before that, when they can bask in a 4-0 and they won away to Rochdale yesterday, that's Grimsby Town. We always keep an eye on them as well. And Shamrock Rovers are into the group stages of Europa League. They won 2-1 over the weekend, which is very good news for Irish soccer and the League of Ireland soccer, which is very good. A lot of good things happening in League of Ireland soccer. We might do a feature on it sometime if people are into that kind of thing. But SportsView is the programme, and our email is info@theirmedia.tv, and press the red button to subscribe to our channel and tell all your friends.
I've got one question for everybody before we move away from football.
Yeah.
The reports today about Graham Souness and what he said on Sunday Football yesterday.
It's a man's game.
That it's a man's game.
It is,
I'm not trying to be sexist or anything like that, but that whole thing has got blown out of context.
Absolutely.
Because what he actually preempted all of that conversation with the fact that the tackles are flying in again, like they were in his era, and it was an innocent comment. And the guy on social media and on BBC website is getting absolutely slaughtered.
Destroyed.
Well, Derwynne, I'm not surprised the BBC website and the BBC people, the woke people in BBC, because Ailey Barber presented one of the final score on BBC, and shocking. She was the one live on television that said the English soccer team, the women, were too white. Now, if a male reporter said that, God forgive me, what would have happened? Ailey Barber should have been taken off air for that awful comment, and yet there she was. Do you know something? It's a whole new discussion.
I'm going to be honest with you. There's one particular. She's gone to the States now, thank God, right? But she was the one that got the English women's manager sacked a couple of years ago. Mark Sampson. It was Eni Aluko or whatever. I really, really, really detest that woman for what she did to a man and his income, right? When basically it wasn't what was said. It was actually proven, right, that it wasn't as bad as she made it out. Now, the problem that you have these days is that you've got a generation that just won't accept criticism. And if they have if they're criticized, they'll run crying to whoever would listen to them and listen to them. And that's the problem that you have. I mean, I listened to and as for your one, Karen Carney, wasn't she the one that said that Leeds got up only because of COVID? How was she not taken off the air for that? Yeah. Basically, just that was an horrendous comment to make. Right? And I mean, maybe the only good thing about these type of pundits, did they? The only thing I would say about these type of analysts now getting these gigs is that now let's judge them on their knowledge of the game and see, do they actually know what they're talking about? Because some of the analysis is poor.
With the BBC, you have to have a woman, you have to have a black person and a white person. That's the mix. If you watch the BBC now, it's
the same.
Without getting really off topic,
their knowledge. They're picking people.
I'm stunned.
Their woke nonsense.
I'm stunned that the British Chinese population haven't gone ape shit because there's no Chinese presenters.
All I can say is I'm a woman, right? And the thing about it,
you're one hell of a woman, Anna.
Who in the name of God could take the wrong context of Suna saying that?
Yeah. Only some of the English women's football team do.
It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. But it's coming in. Lads, I'm being honest with it. It's in all sports now. They're only looking for an excuse to say women should be up there and men, whatever way. Right, women play the same sports as men. Let them play it. But there are differences between the men and the women play sports, and everybody has to realise that.
Look, they're coming. Listen. They're talking about equal pay, right? I mean, if fine, pay them equally, only if they generate the same amount of income, right? It's as simple as that. You know what the comment, and I'm just looking here at the BBC website. Souness says that he doesn't regret that comment and he's standing by it. And you know what? Hey. Fair play to him. Maybe what he's doing, he's basically turning up this guy and says, "Well, if you don't like it, sack me and pay me up my contract, and I'll go off with someone else."
Yeah.
Mark Foster got the same thing during the Commonwealth Games in the swimming, where Claire Balding asked him, why are the men's races faster than the women? And his answer was, well, the men are stronger than the women, therefore they pull faster through the water, their kick is bigger, and they go faster.
Yeah.
And he's got slaughtered for that.
I can't see no problem with that.
I remember.
Jesus,
you're right, Derwynne.
That's just physiology, isn't it?
That's BBC again. Anyway, that's the BBC again, and Sky aren't far behind them in woke nonsense. Over the weekend, the All Blacks put their losing streak behind them, and they beat South Africa. A cracking match, lads. But I watched most of Australia after the event, obviously the replay. Australia and Argentina. My God, lads, the Argentinian team. And they were very impressive the week before, last week as well, even though they lost. They will be a serious team outside of the top couple of teams in the World Cup because they have a young, vibrant, they're a fantastic team. They beat Australia 48-17, and I'll tell you, lads, I was watching the match, Australia were lucky to get any score.
Well, Australia are in free fall, Pat. The Australian sides, haven't they pulled out of the Super Rugby?
No, this was the Super Rugby.
No, I'm talking about the teams like the ACT, ACT and New South Wales, the Brumbies. I think they've pulled out of the Super Rugby. So the Super Rugby is only...
Talking about equal pay for equal thing, Derwynne, you love golf. The IPS and the International and Invitational were held simultaneously. The DP European Tour, coincidentally, there's a lot of Saudi Arabian money in that too, and we don't hear much about it. And in that as well, and there's no protests or anything like that. Like Cameron Smith was heckled over in the St. Jude Invitational because there's rumours that he's going to live golf. So what? But anyway, the DP European Tour and you had the women as well playing side by side. I was watching most of it on YouTube, just covered live on YouTube, and you had the Scottish fella Ferguson. I know much about him. He won the men's side, minus 60. He shot a 61, which was fantastic. A 70, 68, 69. And the Irish fella was David Carey. They split into the last day for the final 35, which was a novel idea, which I thought was great myself. The ladies in Madja Stark won at a minus 20, but Leonie Maguire had a disaster third round. She would have been hugely contingent only for her 75 in the middle of a 68, 69, 66. But she'd be playing in Drummond Castle. But Lynn Stark, I want to tell you, I just heard that there. Lynn Grant from Sweden has decided to stay, and she will be playing in Drummond Castle next month in the Irish Ladies Open, and she's a fantastic golfer. She was up there in contention over the weekend as well, so it'll be great for the box office because she's very, very good. She finished in 4th in the one up in 6 counties. I don't know much about the ground, but over then Zalatoris won in the playoff. I don't see any of that there when he won the St. Jude International in the playoff over there, you know?
Yeah, he's had about 4 or 5 seconds, isn't he, on tour, and it was his first win. I think he got helped a little bit with the retro ruling on Cam Smith.
Yeah, what was that about? I mean, the day after, was it?
Yeah, they came up the day after, and
why didn't they
got
do
the ruling from the referee as well. So
somebody phoned in.
Normally handed in, signed, and done and dusted. Yeah,
somebody probably phoned in. Somebody probably phoned in.
Rules official. Yeah, they did. And it's about time they stopped doing all of that. But
it's the only sport that allows it. Could you imagine me? Could you imagine
how many people would have phoned in about VAR?
Could you imagine I'm watching an All-Ireland final or whatever, or a big soccer match, whatever, and I see a decision that the referee makes? Sure, the phone lines are going to go hopping.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't get that myself. Anyway, I don't get that myself. You know, that was a golf rowing. Do you remember that saying there when the Irish won the gold medal? Pull like a dog. Do you remember the O'Donovans only on Skibbereen when that? Do you remember that Hannah over in the Olympics? Yeah. And they said, well, how'd you? We pull like a dog, and you'll win it. O'Donovan. Well, they won the gold medal over the weekend in the European Regatta. That's Paul O'Donovan and his partner in the double sculls. They won the gold medal, and the women's fours won the silver medal over in rowing, which was a fantastic achievement, you know. So there you are over there. Now, the boxing had, just to touch on it for people who might have missed it, they had another EGM over the weekend, and they made the decision that was narrowly defeated in the other one, which I think is has quietened down an awful lot of criticism, and it's the first step I think, Anna, that they're going to take. But unfortunately, they lost Carruth, they lost their CEO and their chairman.
Yeah, they were there. Kieran Kerwin and Fergal were at the meeting, and they're stepping down on the 2nd of September. That meeting that we had on Saturday, it was very, very important that we got that across the line, because it would have put us back 50 years with Ulster. And as you saw with the Commonwealth Games, out of all the Commonwealth countries, our little 6 counties actually got top in the boxing. They won 5 gold medals. They were outstanding. And if you go back to any of the Olympic Games, there's always 1 or 2 Ulster coming home with medals, you know. But it was very important for us. And thank God our new president, Jerry O'Mahony from Dungarvan, Jerry went up and he spoke. And what has been happening down here at championships, only for Ulster and Antrim, we wouldn't have enough officials. And I'm glad, I said it to him yesterday, I'm glad that he did say that at the meeting, because it was very important. So there was 80 clubs voting, and I did think there would be a few that would go against it, but it was actually 80-0. It was passed. Everybody voted for it. There was no one voted against it.
It was unanimous.
It was unanimous, 80-0.
That's fantastic news.
Oh, it was brilliant. But if it didn't happen, we were all in right. Boxing look, we're up in the air, but what we all said yesterday was, and it's true, that was brought forward. We have a clean slate now, and let's go forward with the clean slate. Now, what's going to happen? We don't know what's going to happen with the Sports Council, with Fergal and Kieran Kerwin stepping down.
He's a solicitor as well. He's a big
He is, yeah. Well, Fergal had a meeting with the office staff the other day on Zoom, and he wished them all well. And he said he was going back to what he loved. He was going back to Drimnagh, which is his boxing club. And the next time we'd see him in the stadium, he'd be in the corner coaching the kids. And he's going back into the corporate world, he said. That's what he told us.
So that's good news for Irish boxing.
It depends now what our Sports Council are going to do with our grants. You know, we have, before the end of this month, our new officer board are going to have to put a proposal forward for the board of directors, how we pick them and what way we think going forward it would work. If they don't accept that, we could lose our funding. So we're still not out of the woods, you know.
Well, as I said, that was a first giant step for the Irish Athletic Boxing Association. We wish them well in appointing their new chairman and CEO, because the Carruth name is synonymous with boxing in Ireland, as well as the Anna Moore name is synonymous with boxing.
But it's Kieran Kerwin, his father, his uncles. They were all steeped in boxing as well, and his father was a director as well, you know.
Oh, I didn't know that. No,
the Kerwins, they're very, very well-known family in boxing.
Well, I mean, we wished them well, and we said we were sad when the decision went the other way at the EGM, but at this EGM it went the right way, and I was that day that it's a unanimous decision. SportsView is the programme. Email info@dermedia.tv. Press the red button to subscribe to our channel. It's free of charge. And also our show jumping team qualified, took a spot for the in the Olympics in Paris in 2024. We'll be having an interview soon with Cian O'Connor. He was on that team. Cian O'Connor, Dennis Lynch, Daniel Coyle and Bertram Allen. So they qualified for the Olympics in Paris. They weren't far to go, you know, over I think they finished 3rd or 4th, I forget now, I didn't write it down, but anyway, it was great to see. And also, just getting back to soccer, I still think it's 0-0 at half time, and I'm afraid.
No, it's one to Crystal Palace. I'm getting worried now. Are we going down this slippery slope? I am. I'm sorry, but look.
They must have just scored, because I just checked it a minute ago.
No, you're way behind on yours. It's half time now.
They scored about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't refresh the feed. Zaha, of course, Wilfred Zaha, and. No, there's a player that United could have well done with a couple of years back.
They had him.
Yeah, and they didn't.
Got rid of him.
They got rid of him. They sold him back to Palace.
Keep up, Pat, will you?
Nunes after being sent out, is he?
Who?
Nunes.
Have you actually read anything about
Hold on. Sorry, lads. Wait a minute. What are you saying? He was sent off?
I don't know that.
United signed him from Crystal Palace and sent it. Didn't they send him back on loan? Right.
They did. There was a story about David Moyes' daughter.
Yeah, and apparently that was all bogus.
Mm-hmm.
That nothing like that had ever happened. But I'm reading about this morning. This guy does so much for underprivileged kids because he himself was one. He could have gone down a very bad road. He was involved. He was around a lot of kids that had gang affiliations, and soccer kind of got him out of it. Football got him out of it, and now he spends time with kids like he was, and supporting clubs for them and supporting kids food-wise and stuff like that. He really is a very community-oriented guy.
Brilliant.
Wilfred Zaha has given tens of millions, as you're dead right, Joe, I was reading about him, to causes, and no publicity. Publicity leaked out, but never.
Even I stick up. He's a South Londoner.
Yeah, never. Is that where he's from?
He's from Palace, South London.
But he's from there, is he?
Chris is frozen again.
Yeah, we're talking about Wilfred Zaha anyway, and he's an example to all professional soccer players, as is Sadio Mane as well, and many others who are doing fantastic work as well for I suppose under-resourced facilities, which is the bane of everybody's life involved in any kind of sport, whether you're here or no matter what country you're in. You don't have to be in a third world country. You can be in your own country. It's the same few volunteers you'll see at every club match up and down the country. The same few volunteers until they die off, as they say. But getting back, I mean, if Liverpool lose this match tonight, they'll be on 1 point from 2 games, so they're 1 point more than Man United. But,
well, I'll tell you something. As you said, and it happened in the last game, 75%, 80% of the game, Liverpool were in the other half and can't score. I don't know what's happening, but something has to give, lads.
Well,
I begin to get worried.
And Man United's next 3 games, as Chris and myself were talking before we came on here, are Liverpool, Southampton and Leicester. Now, how many points, Joe, you're in neutral here, how many points will they get out of those 3 games, Joe?
I think that, funnily enough, I think they'll get a real reaction against Liverpool because of just what just happened at Brentford. And if they don't get a reaction, then it says a lot about the character of the players that would allow that to happen. But I would say that I watched Southampton last week, and I wasn't that impressed with them. They're a very young team. And then I've watched Leicester the last 2 weekends, and we seem to be very, very porous defensively. We do not seem to be able to keep a clean sheet. We play great going forward, but we're really struggling to. And some of the goals that they've given up, in the 6 goals that they've given up in the last 2 games against, was it Brentford was the first one, 2-2, and then yesterday at Arsenal, and they just defensively they look very suspect. So I think it could be a long season for Leicester. So I think United could pull a couple of wins out of this. And
also,
as bad as they seem to be now.
And hopefully not against Liverpool.
Well, another thing I'd say is that I was delighted to see Notts Forest, because I think there's a huge tradition there with Notts Forest. Of course, 2-time European Cup winners. Don't forget, lads, there's not many teams in the Premiership that won the European Cup at the moment. An awful lot, there's a handful. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4 off the top of my head, 4 teams in the Premiership. There are 5 that win the European Cup. 5.
But actually, even Notts Forest, they had a great pool. Hadn't they a great school for a lot of the Irish kids went over there, and they had great academy, hadn't they?
Right,
Keenan, they all came up through Notts Forest, didn't they?
Yeah.
Scouting, yeah.
Yeah, Martin O'Neill.
They seem to have had a very successful, I think they were the most successful, we'll say, academy around that time, were they?
They were tough.
They had a lot of good young lads. Yeah, they did. Des Walker came through there. Viv Anderson came through there. Gary Birtles, although they bought him from non-league, he came through there. Trying to think of some of the other guys. Tony Woodcock.
We had Irish players came through there.
A lot of Scottish, like
Robertson.
John Robertson was the winger.
John Robertson.
And then you had Archie Gemmell played for them. Was it John McGovern? John McGovern was the centre back. He was the captain. He was the captain.
I'm not actually talking who played for them. I'm talking about the youths. They got them and they brought them so far, and they were taken on by the bigger clubs then.
But
the academy they had.
Yeah, Terry
brilliant.
Sheringham started there, as far as I remember as well. I'm not so sure, but yeah, they did that. Or did he start? Sorry, they did that.
Yeah,
Forest did that. And Arsenal had a very, very successful academy. Liam Brady ran that 20 years at least. But there's money. There's a lot of.
The Arsenal Academy was one of the better ones as well. That is very true. Now we'll be here next Monday night.
Really good documentary on John Toshak on Prime.
John Toshak?
Yeah, documentary about John Toshak with Swansea. It's on Prime Video. Very, very good.
Yeah, I didn't see that one yet. No, I like those documentaries and their history as well, of course.
It's really good about how he took them from Division 4 all the way to Division 1.
And I was reading about the foundation of Tottenham Hotspur and Chelsea. There was an All-Ireland footballing winner from Dublin, Wicklow area, involved in the setting up of the club. We might talk about that later on. Too.
And Pat, just to let people know, junior soccer starts back this week in Limerick.
Junior soccer here, our studios here in Limerick, and it's talking about the Fairview Rangers, Pike Rovers, Ballinanty, Nina. There's some good, strong teams in it, Hannah.
There is.
The usual suspects. My own son is playing with a team in County Clare. They're gone up to Division 2.
Good.
But they're all old fogies in that team. But it's a bit of fun.
Fairview had last week. Fairview's AJ O'Connor. He was brilliant. He played for Ireland.
Yeah.
And he got the captaincy as well halfway through. He played up forward. Then they brought him back, and they gave him the captaincy, and he got man of the match. He's just a brilliant young fella. But like that, he's going away now with, when you go to college and then you go away for so long.
Yeah.
He's going away. I think is he going to New Zealand or somewhere the end of this month? That'll be two really good players Fairview have lost in 12 months,
And Chris, just a word before we leave, Chris, Davy Fitzgerald has gone back to Waterford. Chris?
Can I give you 3? God help them. Well, actually, there's news coming out from Waterford tonight that 2 of the Bennetts are not available. And I
just read that.
And I believe there's also a few Kilkenny players who are going. Apparently there's an exodus to Australia. A lot of players are going. They've got the travel bug because they've been cooped up for the last couple of years. So it's going to be an interesting one. I was actually, the reason I didn't watch the Man United match on Saturday was because I was at our own senior championship match on Saturday evening. We were playing in Tulla. Wolf Tones were playing Crusheen, and it was 30 degrees there. It was a hot night. And they won by a point. It was hard fought. They won it in the end. They won by a point. But I've been talking to a few of the players that I know, and they were saying that some of them like the split season, some of them are not. There's a little bit of a one of the players who was playing county hurling decided to go on holiday straight after they were knocked out of the All Ireland, which caused him to miss the first round in the local championship. And from what I believe, that did not go down too good. But hey, they're amateur players. What are they supposed to do? The idea of a split season was so that they would have a defined period when they know when they could do and have a bit of a life. So my own opinion is that the split season needs to be modified. I mean, I even look at the Wexford County final finished yesterday, mid-August, and I think that's that's ridiculous. What are the players going to do now for the next 2 months? They're going to go play soccer or rugby. That's just simple as that. And that's a problem. I mean, if the same situation happens in Waterford, where is Davy Fitzgerald going to look at the players, because the players are going? They're not there. The matches aren't there. So if I just found it very, very kind of quizzical to look at county finals happening so early in the summer.
Gary Gunnar will probably be involved in the Munster and All-Ireland series in the championship. Anyway.
But the problem is that you'll watch them where you may get 2 or 3 players. But it's yourself, when you come from a big county like Cork, it's not the manager in Cork will not go looking at the senior clubs because he knows who he has.
Yeah.
Cork's success over the years is recruiting intermediate and junior players that play for divisional teams. That's where, you look at David Clifford for Kerry. He's actually an intermediate player.
That's all.
Right? Dennis Walsh, the cornerback who won All-Ireland medals in 1990 for Cork. Right? He junior club, junior player. Right? That is a success that big counties will get, not from their senior players, but from the intermediate junior players. So the point about a new manager coming in now is that he'll be hoping that he'll get 1 or 2 months to scout around, watch matches, look at players. But how is he going to do that when some championships are finished now?
I know I had a question for Derwynne, and I'm not ganging up on you, Derwynne, by no manner of means. Gary Neville made a remark on Sky. He said, "I'm not blaming those players out there. They gave 100% today against Brentford." I mean, is the man on drugs to say that they gave 100% for Man United, like Gary Neville? He was lucky that Roy Keane wasn't on the panel with him. That's all I would say, anyway.
I noticed they kept Roy Keane away from that match, didn't they?
It did. Anyway, lads, we've reached the end of another edition. So from Anna Moore, Derwynne Honan, Joe Waters, Chris Price, and myself, till we meet again, lads. The best of luck to everybody, whatever you're doing, and take care. Bye-bye, and God bless.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.